to what Tom says, first of all, thank you so much, Tom. I'm so impressed that you remembered all that we chatted about. But what I wanted to tell you was, so I was telling you about this program coordinator job, right? So he gave me the application, and I'm filling out, I'm like, I don't have employment history. So a lot of the stuff I've done in the last 10 years doesn't fit into a regular job application. I have to email him and ask him, can I just put down what I've done, like my own business? Because I don't have a what do you call it, employer, right? That's the word. So it's been kind of an interesting last couple of days for me. It's an honor for me. I want to thank Tom and all of you. It's been awesome to be part of this Solano Sunset chapter. And when Patrice approached me a few weeks ago and she said, you need to talk about membership, I'm like, okay. I just became membership chair, I'm like, okay. And then having spent some time with Tom and done some research, actually he pointed me to the district membership, he calls her guru, Marlene Maltby, and I was able to chat with her a little bit about different ways to be able to create and raise membership. And I think, as you know, as an organization, especially as a baby chapter, the livelihood and the growth of Solano Sunset is based on membership. You and membership, right? And the increase in membership. So I think it's important for us to spend a little time really just look at that part of the organization as a business and continue to grow it. I literally, when we had that charter celebration a few weeks ago with the pineapples, one that I took home was really good. My mom's like, wow, where'd you get that pineapple? Rotary, of course, best pineapple. And I met a gentleman who was a former president of the San Ramon chapter. His name is Fred, the really tall gentleman. And he said they went literally from 30 to 80 in 1 year, which blew my mind. And he says, yeah, if you want to give me a call, I'd love to, give you some ideas. And one of the things that he said that I remembered was, it's not just about creating that environment and that warm environment to continue to invite guests to come and to be part of Rotary, but also it's in retention, right? And he says, and I said, so what's your secret? What's your big secret in retention? And he says, you just gotta make it fun, right? He showed up in his Hawaiian shirt and he had a drink in his hand. He's like, we just have fun at our club. And then I talked to a few other visiting guests from other chapters and they all said the same thing. And I think that this is that's the kind of culture that I feel that we have created here. Don't you feel like you have fun when you come here?
Yes.
We become a family. I mean, look at, if you could just see how many smiles are, when I said fun, you're all like beamed, right? Because people are attracted to an environment that makes them feel good and it's fun. And I appreciate all of you who introduced yourself to Jim, my friend and my guest, because while I was busy setting up, right? And you made him feel at home, and I think that that's important for us to continue to do as we have new guests coming in. What I want, come on in, Joan. It's okay, you're not late. Have some pizza, have some pizza.
You want to hold up everything else?
It's just us. The food should really be in the back of the room, so people who come up a little, they can slide into the back door and get the food, right? Don't you agree?
Absolutely.
Not that I've ever been late, but just thinking for the late people. So I think that that's the kind of thinking that we need to have and need to create moving forward. Engaging and involving the new members, right? The existing members and the guests as they come in, so that when you throw. How many of you have thrown a party, hosted a party at home? Besides Tom and Gina, right? I mean, you remember your role as a host, right? It's not even about you. Sometimes you go through the whole party, you don't even get to eat, right? Like Tom was grilling with his apron, right? So it's about our role to be the hospitality, the ambassador of the Rotary, Solano Sunset, so that people come in and they feel warm and welcome, even though you don't know their names. And I remember when I first started here, I didn't, I brought a few guests and I didn't know the members, the club as well yet, right? And I was trying to introduce, but I couldn't remember their backgrounds. And it was just, how many of you have had that experience, right? Like we all kind of know each other, we smile at each other, and we, you know, and then we leave, and I try to introduce them, I'm like, I don't know what they do. So let me just read the name tag. I didn't even remember the names, right? So I would read the name tags, and I would just start them off, and I would just walk off, right? So I think that one of the things that we're going to implement, Tom and I talked about this, is, and Tom's going to send out the information to you, but I got his blessing, so I wanted to share that with you, is at the beginning of every meeting, we're going to have 2 members who's going to be highlighted. So you're going to spend a couple of minutes and share your vocation, you know, share what you do. And I actually talked to Marlene about this, and she said, oh, yeah, we do that. So, but we didn't steal the idea from her. We're original. Just happened to be something that another successful chapter does. Gotta keep the credit where it's due, right? But she says, yeah, you stand up and you make sure that it's a 2 to 3 minute thing where the member actually introduces themselves to the club, where they live, whether they have family members, you know, children and all that, a little bit about them, and what they do, and where they work, right? So that when the rest of us who brings guests in, so let's say like Sam Thompson is in insurance. If I have a guest who is in the insurance industry or related industry, I would definitely want to make sure that I bring the guest to him, right? And they can talk shop. Or somebody who's in accounting, I would bring them to Chantel. Isn't that a cool idea?
Yes.
You don't sound too excited. Because your turn will come. Well, you'll do your 2-3 minute thing, but I think that it's a great way for us to also get to know one another. Because I think when we had that retreat at the Schneider's home, we got to know one another, don't you think? Mm-hmm. That was really cool, that little 3 cue card, icebreaker. We had to come in with 3 pieces of information that, you know, the club didn't know, the leadership group didn't know, and we would, you know, somebody would read off the card and we would have to guess who that person is. But I think that kind of brought us, you know, those little things brought us together. So we're going to be doing that, so watch out for the email from Tom. So if you get the email, you're it. Next week, right, Tom?
We'll plan in time so you can think about it.
Yeah, there you go. And don't be late, not showing up and start having a headache that day. Okay? So now I'm going to talk to you about membership, because I haven't done that yet. Have I? Okay. Aren't you impressed with the logo?
Yes. Yes. Good job.
Thank you. Okay, so why membership? A lot of this information, I actually went to the Rotary International website. So I didn't make this stuff up, okay? So if you don't like it, I won't take the credit. What would it take to change the world? Rotary's 1.2 million members believe it starts with a commitment to service above self. And that really just hit my heart when I first heard it. I thought, isn't that what it's supposed to be about, right? You live your whole life so you can leave a legacy, and you actually touched a bunch of people and supported a cause, right? Isn't that what Rotary's about? And I remember when I posted, you know, when we were chartered and the certificate and all that, all these Rotarians from other chapters wrote back. It was like a whole thread. And somebody says, yes, service above self. Okay? So that's our motto. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you, how many of you have been on the Rotary International website? See, it's only a handful, because I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have gone on it if I didn't have to do this talk. But the resource is there, okay? So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to show you, I'm going to mess my whole thing up, but the video, I hope I plugged it in the right.
What would it take to change the world?
Whoops.
Provide food to the hungry
I did that the last
and
time.
water to the thirsty. Teach children to read and keep them
Now I want to
healthy.
go back to it.
Shelter families and train a new generation. Give the poor a chance to better themselves. Create a worldwide network of peacemakers and conquer a disease that has killed or crippled millions. Could one person do it? What about 1.2 million?
My name is Frank Wessel.
You're right, Will.
Gaston Cabaret.
Eu sou a Débora Fios.
Dr. Naresh Goyal.
E a Loma. Lisa Simmons.
Eric Kimmel.
Meu nome é what Rotary is all about. Vision to see, faith to believe, and courage to act.
So many of us, we sit back and we go, gee, I'd really like to help somewhere in the world, but I don't know how to do it. And Rotary gives you all the tools you need.
Personalmente tengo just the fact that you are a Rotarian opens doors all over the world.
For members of Rotary, no project is too big. Working with UNICEF, the World Health Organization, and the CDC, Rotary has immunized more than 12 billion children against polio and reduced the disease by more than 99% worldwide.
With not too many dollars, these Rotarians and our partners are doing a tremendous job, very effectively, very efficiently.
Rotary has spent more than $500 million on international scholarships and foreign exchange, while its graduate-level programs in conflict resolution train peacemakers from around the world.
When I started working for Interpol at the United Nations, I already had the background to understand international relations.
For Rotary members, the reward is immense and immediate.
Helping others is one of the things that they really enjoy. It makes my day.
The salary I receive spiritually is so huge that you cannot put a value on it.
C'est un peu égoïste d'être being a Rotarian is almost selfish. Yes, I help people, but I get so much in return.
When our world seems senseless and even hopeless, Rotary Club members of all races, colors, and creeds join together to care,
Hopefully we can bring some hope and some help, emotionally as well as physically.
to protect,
The job that is to be done can be done.
to connect.
But no one has a dry eye at the end of these projects because the kids will come back and ask for a picture with their doctor.
And to make a difference.
It is possible because we are Rotarians. We can do it. We should do it.
But even for 1.2 million volunteers, changing the world is no easy task. Learn how you can become involved.
It only takes a drop to make a river. And all we have to do is just make sure that we are in the right direction, we're committed to it, and it will get done.
Rotary International. Ordinary people working together to accomplish extraordinary things.
Isn't that awesome? Doesn't it like give you goosebumps? Well, it gave me goosebumps because it's cold in here too. I just thought, that was the first time I saw it, and I thought, man, this is such an amazing organization. So now I'm sure there's a way that I could do this without having to start over, but I haven't figured it out. Okay, so quiz. What is the Rotary International website?
Rotary.org.
You saw it from the last slide.
Yeah, I did. I was paying attention.
All right, you know what, Mr. Schneider? You get a new member application as a prize.
You gotta get another member in with
No, I can't get anybody to answer the next question. I actually, it's Rotary.org and also RotaryInternational.org. Points to the same place, okay? What is the website of Solano Sunset?
SolanoSunset.org.
See, Brian Kendall, who created the website, is sitting very quietly. So let's see if they know, right? And I have to admit, that was the first time I went to the website to do this research. But that's the kind of education, the educational process that we all need to have so that we know more about what we're talking about, right? It's actually SolanoSunsetRotary.com, right?
It can be either. I think it's SolanoSunset.org is the...
Not com.
I did .org and it didn't come up. Maybe it was my...
It's not Solano Sunset Rotary, it's just SolanoSunset.org.
Okay, never mind.
It can be both.
See?
There you go.
There you go. But when I get disappointed, and you know what? I think there was something else too, but anyway. All right, well, now that I've thoroughly confused you, your exercise for today is to go find our website, right?
Yes.
Right. See, I did that on purpose. Okay. So let's talk about the membership approval process. I didn't know this at the beginning, and I think that it's important for us to all realize that there's a distinction in why, to become a member of Rotary is not something that is readily available. Like when people want to be a Rotarian, Rotarian, it doesn't just happen. There's an approval process. An individual has to be approved to become a Rotarian, okay? Unlike most other organizations, proposed members of Rotary must be approved to become a Rotarian. So these are the qualifications, and I got this from the bylaws, or the website. Prospective members must hold or be retired from a professional, proprietary, executive, managerial, or community position. Or they must have demonstrated a commitment to service through personal involvement. Or they must be able to meet, or not or, that's and actually, sorry. They must be able to meet the club's weekly attendance or community project participation requirements. Do you know what's the minimum percentage of attendance a Rotarian must meet to maintain their status? What is it?
100?
No.
80.
I thought I remember this too. I think it's 50. It's 50%, right, Brian?
It used to be higher, but now it's 50.
Yeah. So keep that in mind too, because it's not just being part of a club, but it's also the commitment of continuing to be there with the attendance. Live or work within the vicinity of the club or surrounding area. Okay? Now, continuation of membership approval process. So when you have somebody who's not a member, right? And so at that point, you invite them as a guest, they become a prospect. Basically, they come, we call them the proposed member, who comes to look at Rotary and to see if it's something that fits into their, what they're looking for, if it resonates with them. A lot of times it has to do with the relationship of the person who invited them. Would you agree? Yes. How many of you became a Rotarian because of the person who sponsored you? That's you look around, that's almost 90% of the room. That's what happened to me. That's why we're learning this together now, because of the perspective that we had, the respect that we had of the person who invited us. Okay, so they become a member. Now, these are the different doors they have to go through. You like that, Tom? The different color doors they have to go through to be approved. Okay, so how does that work? Proposed member's name is submitted to the club secretary, Mr. Brian Riley. See here, Mr. Riley? That's Brian, okay? He's a board member. And simultaneously to me, currently I hold a membership chair position, and by doing this, they have to complete Part A of the application. the prize that Mr. Schneider won, right? So this is Part A, okay? This is the first part of the application, and please make sure you grab one on your way out so that you have the literature with you. Then the Part A gets submitted to the board for approval, okay? And once the board approves, if approved, then we ask the proposed member to sign Part B on the same form, okay, of the membership application. They need to approve it and give us permission to release their information to the club. We then publish proposed member's name and classification to the club. Now let me talk about classification for a second. Classification is classifications are categories, vocational categories, okay, of that individual, okay? And based on what I've learned, you cannot have more than 5 members who fall into the same classification, okay? And there's a classification list that Tom actually sent me, and I had a whole thing in a folder that I didn't bring. But there's a whole list, breakout of classification, okay? The club, the whole entire membership has 7 days to consider and file objections, if there's any objection, okay, to approve the new member. The club secretary or president then reports new member. Once approved, club secretary or president reports new member to Rotary International, okay? So aren't you impressed that we did all that to get chartered by, was it June the 1st?
And actually the process was different when we were chartered. It was much more speedy when we were chartered.
They were trying to help us get chartered. Now it's going to take longer, right? So now you know the process. It's not just that, when somebody's ready to join, you actually have to go through this whole process to have them be approved, okay? And now you understand a little bit more so you can explain the process to them. And I think it's a great way to really sort people out, to see if they're committed enough to want to be a Rotarian. So now that they're a new member, welcome, right? We pull them into the group. Now, our goal, our culture of this chartered club is to get the new members involved as quickly as possible, engaged and involved, so that they can feel part of. Wouldn't you agree that if you're part of something new, you don't know anybody, but if you have a role in it, you might actually want to be more involved and actually show up to the meeting, right? So now what? We want you to engage and make a difference. You heard that on the video, right? This is all about us coming together to make a difference. Be part of the leadership committee. There's a list of committees that you can be part of, and I'm going to talk to you just a little bit about that in a few minutes here. Okay? It's all based on your skills. What are your strengths? What are the areas that you're good at? Some of you are great at administrative skills. Some of you are great in finance. Some of you are great in creative stuff. Some of you are great with public relations and so on and so forth, right? And this is about us coming together as a team. Together, everyone achieves more, right? So we need every single one of you and your talents that you come in to the club with to actually be able to leverage and grow this club. Is everyone in?
Yes.
Say aye. Aye. Okay. So what we're going to do now is, these are the list of committees, okay, that are through the bylaws of Solano Sunset. Membership committee, okay, I'm the membership chair, so I'm always looking for those individuals who are looking to help grow the membership and you know, with your communication skills and so on and so forth. Club public relations. As you probably would agree that we could use more public relations, would you agree? Mm-hmm. Not just our chapter, but Rotary International altogether. Like I said, I learned more about Rotary because I had to do the research to share this with you. So imagine if we all are armed with the information, we could do more, we could educate people more, right? So public relations, getting the information out. When we have a special event, you know, how do we promote it and have a committee for that? Club administration, holding the fort down, keeping it together, right? Somebody has to be organized around here. Right?
Right.
And who said right? Was that true?
Right.
Service projects. Actually, the project's chair is Mr. Samuel Thompson, right there. Give him a round of applause.
Set up for more work.
And we applaud that.
The best way to you know, get people engaged, to acknowledge their skills and talents is like, right? Service projects, so we're going to look and see what service projects we could be involved in. Rotary Foundation. Now, I'm at a loss for this, Tom. I'm not sure what that is.
We'll all learn about that. The Rotary Foundation is a nonprofit organization that really, in the big picture of things, the club actually can, members of the club can pay money into the foundation, the club can. Some of that money comes back to us for projects. The Paul Harris Fellowship is part of the Rotary Foundation operation as well. So it's sort of the nonprofit side of Rotary, and the do good side is what provides the money for doing good.
Okay.
And we will be, I'm talking with some people now about the foundation there, so we'll be looking at that pretty soon.
And there's actually a section of descriptions of all of these on RI website, Rotary International website. I tried to go back to it and I couldn't remember where it was, but it had some specific skill items, okay, pertaining to these committees. And the nomination committee, which is where you nominate, you know, possibly new members, propose new members, and so on and so forth, okay? Officers?
That's where you nominate your
Officer. Okay. Okay. So, what I'd like for you to do, if I could ask Mr. Schneider, Sergeant at Arm. Sergeant at Arm.
Yeah.
Everybody give him a round of applause. Sergeant Schneider is going to help me pass out the form that I would like for all of you. It takes you 5 seconds to do it. Make sure you put your name and your information on there and check only top three items of strength you have from that checklist, okay? In the order of your strength. 1 being the highest, 2, and then 3. If you could just check the list, and please make sure that you leave them on this table on your way out or give them to me so that we can best map you and get you engaged and involved to help grow this club. Ooh, I like it. Everybody's going to work. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up my presentation now, okay? Please make time to complete the Make a Difference form that you have and turn it in today. Let's make history at sunset, and guess what? Voila! You like my special effect?
Yeah.
You're the missing piece. Thank you for being part of being part of Solano Sunset, and thank you so much, Tom, for giving me the opportunity to share.